Tottenham going through a hard old time of it, and Thomas under a lot of pressure himself at this time. But he takes a news conference later on, so he heads into this game in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. Thereafter, well, we just don't know, do we? Simon, you touched on it. Before I go to Gareth, who's a Spurs fan who's waiting patiently to speak to us, if anybody should feel abandoned to a degree, it maybe shouldn't be Oliver Glasner. It should be Thomas Frank, with Daniel Levy gone, with Paratici going, if not gone already.
Well, I think you always need allies, don't you? Despite your assertion, which you were right to make, which in the end of the day, your allies will only be there when you're delivering outcomes, and his job is to win football matches. When you've got a change of ownership and you've got clear problems in that space, you've got players that talk out of turn, you've got players that do spend more time telling you what they're going to do, actually, rather than what they should be doing. You've got Pedro Porro waving his finger at the fans. You've got Mickey van der Verne having a turn. You've got Cristiano Romero coming out and saying what he thinks he's entitled to say. So clearly there's some issues around who runs the football club and how it's run. And if you've got, in my view, whatever you think of Daniel Levy, and I know that Spurs fans have their view, right? He was a number one. And whatever you think of Paratici and the fact that he got banned from football, he was a leading sporting director and a number one. You've now got two number twos running the football club. So you've got a football club that's being run in a certain way. So it feels a little bit rudderless. And you've got a manager that's floundering, that needs some support. They all need support. Whether you sit in the public domain or not, managers need support. And if he's got no allies around, I don't suppose it helps him.
Sure. Gareth, I mentioned you, mate. You're welcome to the show. Stuart's with Simon. What do Spurs need right now, apart from a win, mate?
Afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
I'll be honest. I think Thomas is abandoned by the players and the fan base at the moment as well. Spurs fans, in my opinion, are still living with this rose-tinted vision of what Pochettino did. You know, the one man in recent times who managed to get the balance right. But he's not been our manager. And one of the biggest concerns that Spurs had when we had Ange was the man's got no plan B. You'd hear it on talkSPORT constantly after every game where we played the high line and got thumped. And Thomas Frank, he's a man who's got a plan A, B, C, and D. And we need to be looking at the players, not doing it for the manager. And, you know, when the fans have got a manager who has alternative plans, you know, and has alternative ways of doing things. You know, Spurs fans need to sit, in my opinion, and go, what do we really want? Do we want the attractive football where we're going gung-ho, or do we want a man who is able to have a plan B where 60 minutes we're 1-0 down? I know the results haven't quite worked that way at the moment, but that means we need to look at the players, and it's the players' backs we need to be getting on, not necessarily Frank.
Gareth, have an exchange with Stuart, because Stuart, you mentioned earlier on, you've covered Tottenham Hotspur matches, and at that moment that Romero, who'd been injured, suddenly sprints to the far corner, etc. Gareth's making a good point here, is he not? The players have got to look at themselves here. It's not just Thomas. The players have got to go out there and beat Dortmund tomorrow night.
I think that's a point I made earlier. You know, I think that the players have to take some sort of, responsibility here, firstly. I look at the Tottenham squad of players and I ask you the question. You see more of Spurs than I do. Do you think that squad of players are good enough to challenge for a European place?
I do think they're good enough, Stuart. Right. I just don't think that. I grew up watching you. You know, I've met you a few times at England games with my son. I've had the pleasure of talking to you. You know, and the one thing that you have always had, and I don't think it would have made the difference who the manager was, your own personal pride in your own game. Is, you know, regardless of what you thought of the manager, I know full well, I believe full well that you would have gone out regardless whether you got on with the manager or not, or believed him or not, for your own personal pride. And I don't think Tottenham players are doing that at the moment.
Yeah.
Good point, Gareth. Thank you for your call. George, you agree with Gareth? You know, it's about time the players get a hold of themselves, get out there and win.
I'm not sure that was a real Spurs fan, if I'm honest.
And you're a real Spurs fan, Joe?
I am very much so. I've got the tattoos to prove it.
So go on, tell us it straight.
Well, I mean, where do you start? I mean, my initial point was actually just to call up and say that I want to get it out there on the radio to you, to Simon Jordan sitting there with you, Alex Crook. You've got to get this 17th thing out of your head. The fact that we come 17th last year. There's so much context around it. Yes, 17th is one place above the relegation zone, but I think we were 13 points clear. We were never going down, right? And all we hear from you lot in the media is Spurs have got to win a trophy. And prioritise the Europa League. We won the trophy. If we come 17th, 12th, 9th, it wouldn't have mattered. It doesn't matter. So this 17th thing, it's so boring.
Well, that's where But hang on, but no one said you were getting relegated. I never made that utterance, and I've never said you had to win a trophy. So if you're levying that accusation at me, then pack it in because I haven't said it. And all I've said is the fact you finished 17th, which you did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but yes,
which is crap.
There's so much reason around that.
No, there's no reason. There was managerial choices that were made by Ange Postecoglou to sacrifice the Premier League in favour of pursuing the Europa League.
Exactly. So what's wrong?
We all know that. Well, surely you can do both.
Let me talk.
So Palace could win the FA Cup. Palace could win the FA Cup, but they couldn't perform in the league. So they finished higher in the league, but they could win the FA Cup.
I'm not talking about Palace. I'm talking about Tottenham. Right?
Yeah, but you've got better players, right? So you could finish above 17th. So keep on citing the fact that people have mentioned 17th, whether it's me or Alex Crook or whoever else, is a fact. Finishing 17th is a poor return.
Yes, but there's reason. Sorry, there's so much reason. The injury list was ridiculous last year, and in the end, Ange he sacrificed the league. He saved out good players for Europa League.
But you were poor when your team. I watched you against Leicester. I watched you against the other side, Ipswich. Sorry, when you were playing when Ipswich were, and you had a full team out, and you were poor then.
That was back in like October, November.
All right, so only on certain dates it suited, is it?
Where are you on Thomas then, specifically, Joe? And get into this game tomorrow night.
Well, look, I mean, like all Spurs fans, I think 99%. He's got to go. Nice guy, done really good job at Brentford, but we are not Brentford. He's the guy just then. That's why I wanted to comment. As he said, he's got plan A, B, and C. I've not seen plan A, B, and C yet. Plan A is just to sit back, let teams come on to us, and that's it. And then or maybe the plan B is then to get some long throwers on, and that's it. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And Thomas Frank has referenced his 17th thing. Our squad is much better than 17th. As the last caller said, the players are better than that, but they are being managed terribly at the moment. Obviously, injuries as well, which everyone pinned on Ange, but he's not here anymore. So what's the excuse there? There's a whole load of messes, right? But the 17th thing is just it's a stick to beat us with. Yeah, it doesn't look good, but there's a reason for it. No one cared that we came 17th.
But Joe, before you leave us, are you beyond the point of no return? Are you still in there fighting? If Thomas and Tottenham, if you beat Borussia Dortmund and then you go to Burnley at the weekend and win there, does it all change?
No, it doesn't change because I think Thomas Frank, again, nothing against the man. Nice guy, done a great job at Brentford. But then my granddad's team, I was really pleased for him there. His mentality is not to be what we would like to see at Tottenham. He's not got an attacking mindset as his natural position. It's always to sit back. It's always to sit back. It's to start negatively and then go into your shell. And again, that's not going to wash with Tottenham.
But you were losing your heads over the way Ange went about it. We're so attacking.
I wouldn't mind seeing defensive football. I wouldn't mind seeing that if we could actually do it, but we can't. If we were drawing every game 0-0, at least there's a plan there. But we can't even do the defensive stuff, so what's the point?
Do any of you out there, do many Tottenham fans still have utter faith in Thomas and what he's trying to do out there? I wonder if Norman does, who's a big Tottenham Hotspur fan. Norman, good afternoon. What are you thinking?
First of all, no way do I want Glasner at Spurs. Give him a few weeks, his type of football will be hounded out by the Spurs fans. There's a saying, you all know this, Napoleon Bonaparte said, give me a lucky general, not a good general. And I think that Thomas Frank is a good general, but an unlucky general. And I think that's his injuries, everything. I mean, God knows what team he's going to put out tomorrow. But the real problem is it doesn't matter what manager you put in there. ENIC are the problem. Until ENIC go, and I'm going to say this now, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club is finished. We are going nowhere under ENIC. It doesn't matter what happens. What I actually think is going to happen is that they will keep Thomas Frank on for the rest of the season. And I suspect, and as Simon quite correctly says over the years, the average fan doesn't know 10% what's going on behind closed doors. We don't. We have to rely totally on you and the media. I haven't the foggiest what's going on. I'm not even sure all this business about the players not liking Frank. We don't know that. We fans know nothing. We go exactly by what the media tell us. So this is what I'm thinking. I suspect he'll stay here for the rest of the season unless we continue to lose, and then Pochettino will come back. Having said that, if Pochettino does come back, I suspect ENIC will, for the first time in their history, actually back the manager.
Norman, just before you leave us, when you say, unless ENIC go, Tottenham Hotspur are, quotes, finished, what do you mean by finished?
That means it's finished as a big club. At the moment, if this carries on for another 2 years, we're heading for relegation. There's too much about in the media about, oh, you get the predictions every Saturday, Spurs to win, and you know full well the players aren't good enough. We're in decline. It's obvious this club is in decline. ENIC are only interested in making money. They've got Beyonce going on. They've got go-karting going on. They've got boxing going on. My mobile phone is inundated with adverts for pop concerts in the summer. This is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We're not a football club anymore. We're an adjunct to the club. It's lost its soul. Bill Nicholson must be turning in his grave.